Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday. Happy episode. I have no idea, but
262.
262, and happy season freaking 6, baby.
Season 6, baby. We're here. We've made it. We talked to you yesterday. We went on and went on and went on, but if you haven't already, because you know you're lame and you don't follow us on Instagram, then you should go over there because that's where you get to see all the beautiful stuff that we have done. Also, while you're listening, wherever you're listening, take a little peeky poo over there at our new logo.
So hot.
Gorgeous.
She's stunning. And if you haven't peeked on YouTube, then you're missing out on the new studio. You need to go there and you need to watch the episode, but also don't forget to stream us so it doesn't hurt our downloads.
yeah. You know, just at least stay for like, you know, a few minutes wherever it is that you are.
Yes. We're loving the studio. We have such good vibes for this season.
Such great vibes.
It's just so clean, so adult women.
So just like beautiful, gorge, loving her. She's perfect. I mean, we have had just such a fun time, me and Morgan personally, because it's just been chaotic, iconic.
Always.
What else would you expect from the two of us?
Think about us. We like to build. We like to do shit around the house.
We do.
Now, do we like to, well, poor Taylar did this all on her own, but demo, okay, I took the tile off the wall and that was enough.
Yeah.
Demo tile and then refix drywall?
Yeah, have to.
Can't say we love that.
Joint compound an entire wall.
But you know what? It was fun.
It was fun.
It just proves that we can do anything.
It really does. And it proves that we'll figure it out.
You know, my wrist still hurts from that day. It is still sore.
Oh my God.
I can't even flex that. Like, actually putting gloves on at work really bothers me from just chipping away at the
chiseling
tile.
away at the tile.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Hey, you know what we can talk about today that we have had a lot of people question us about because we were so like open about it is our aura rings. Because we had a lot of people ask about what if we like them and like what's going on. Love it. I love the sleep score data.
Let me tell you though, I do think I have a little bit of a placebo effect from the sleep score because my aura ring data from sleep is the first thing I check every single morning when I wake up.
Me too.
So if I see a 60 number, I'm like, fuck, I'm so tired all of a sudden.
Well, you probably are.
No, it really does align. But like, I am like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a great day. I'm immediately up if it's in the 90s. I'm getting my coffee.
I immediately know, like when I open my eyes, I'll be like, that was a good score, or I'll be like, ooh.
That was a rough one.
That was a rough one because I'm having a hard time even making myself grab my phone right now.
Yes. I've been doing it for cycle tracking as well. And I sync it up with natural cycles and it is just spot on. It is insane. I've used Flow for the last year. Everyone knows I had an IUD, so I didn't have any periods. But not to have a period talk or anything. But anyway, so for the last year, I've been using Flow just like based off of like physical symptoms of what's going on to track my cycle.
And just like standard things like, okay, you're going to ovulate this many days after.
Honestly, Flow was pretty close, but not quite.
No.
Not really at all, actually. No. Like, so it's amazing. I love it.
And I love that like it tracks your temperature where you're not having to like manually
track your temperature.
Do all that. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and
actually.
you know, what we can't speak on because we're not fitness girlies.
Yes,
is the like activity and all that stuff. But I will say I really appreciate the way that it'll like log things and be like, hey, you were actually burning a lot of calories. What were you doing? And I'm like, oh my God, I was just cleaning my house. Thank you.
Yeah, or it's like, hey,
are you okay?
Do you want to log that nap? And I'm like, I didn't even nap. That's how lazy I've been. Yes, my only negative thing that I have to say about my Oura Ring, and it's because I work in healthcare and I'm putting probably 40 to 50 pairs of gloves on a day as well. So latex, rubber, as well as hand sanitizer and washing my hands with the Purex very harsh soap. I have some tarnishing, especially like right underneath on the gold band. And of course we really tried to fix it when it was a little too late to fix it.
By like 3 days.
Yeah, I would keep that in mind if you are a healthcare girly and you're looking into an Oura Ring. Maybe just skip out on the gold, but there are covers for it. And I think I bought like a pack of 4 for like $12 or something. Gold covers too, because I love gold. And they like turned black, and this is not an Oura brand. This is just a random brand on Amazon that I bought. But it was like they were chipping and they were turning black, and then it made it bulkier, and I was like, I can't do this. So I would just rather tolerate. And honestly, it's just underneath that's the problem, because that's where like most, I'm rubbing, it's friction. So that's my only other negative thing. Everything else, the data wise, and you sync it up to your Apple Health app. Like it's really incredible.
I really have been enjoying it, and I would say probably my most favorite part of it is like the stress tracking too, because I'm very aware now of like, okay, I have really put my body through it today. I don't need to go push it's allowed me to say no to things a lot more, because I'll be like, my body really needs to rest for real. Like, I'm not being just lazy. I'm looking here and it's saying, hey, you have been stressed for 5.5 hours today. On a normal day, you'll be stressed for 3 hours.
Yeah.
What's up? And I'm like, oh, I'm just watching season 6. I'm good.
Just had a 5-hour photo shoot. It's fine.
I'm literally okay, barely. And so I really like it. I think it's a really good thing. I like it better than an Apple Watch personally, because I don't like things being on my wrist that are clunky like that.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And honestly, having ADHD, for my ADHD besties out there, which by the way, I was reading my diagnosis and I've always known this. I've always been diagnosed with ADD, but I thought they got rid of the term ADD and now it's all ADHD. But my doctor still has me marked as ADD. So like without the like external activity. I'm like inattentive type. Means like, you know, I'm just taking it so much.
I thought they also read the term.
Me too. And I thought that was really interesting, that I was like, maybe it was an old document I was looking at, but I was like, yeah, that's cool. Anyways, having ADHD, ADD, whatever, being neurodivergent and having the absolute inability to push anything out from
Finish a sentence.
yeah to get this sentence out of my mouth. The notifications that I was getting constantly on my Apple Watch would always distract me, like beyond. I couldn't like just put my phone away, because I would get a notification, check my watch,
text message,
and I would read it, and I would then like go get on my phone and respond to it. Whereas with the Oura Ring, I could put my phone on the other side of the room and sit there and just grind out on something for a little bit, and it's not bothering me.
Right. And it also holds a charge for so long.
Yeah.
Like at least 5 to 7 days, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, if you're like pushing it.
And then I'll jump in the shower and I'll throw it on the charger, and it's fully charged by the time I get out and like ready for bed.
I do like every Friday or Saturday, depending on how much it's, you know, whatever the battery life of it. But it's normally like Friday or Saturday, I put it on the charger every single week. I'll put it on the charger like in the morning when I'm just drinking my coffee, and by the time I'm up and doing something, or if there was like a time where I was sitting on the couch not doing anything, or like folding laundry, something I don't need to be tracked, I'll literally just
you got to track
pop it on
those
the charger.
calories of the laundry fold. We don't
You
get to do.
You got to get that.
We don't get a lot of
around.
activity.
You're
often.
right. So then I'll like go pop it on the charger, and I'll come back in like an hour. It's done.
Yeah.
Fully charged, 24 hours.
Love it. Love. I would give mine a 9 out of 10. 1 point away for the tarnishing.
Yeah, mine 10 out of 10. I haven't experienced any tarnishing, but then again, like I'm just at a desk typing, so
I know it's the hand sanitizer and rubbing your hands together.
It sucks too, because gold is just soft. You can't really.
Yeah, so that does suck. I hope that they fix that for their next gen, if they have another gen coming out.
Definitely.
For their golds, especially because they upcharge you for the color gold. So they should get that.
They
under
should
control.
make it to where it's maybe a little bit less tarnishable. We really like it though.
I have a little story for you. This is kind of funny, and this was just like the epitome of like after last night. We had a terrible night last night.
Oh, we had a terrible night.
And like both of us didn't sleep, and we were up.
We're barely hanging on by a thread.
I get up and I'm going to work, and I'm like, I haven't actually had a Dunkin' in quite some time. I've been making my coffees at home. So I go to Dunkin' and I order what I always order, which is an iced latte with 2 pumps of, it's weird, just bear with me, 2 pumps of caramel syrup and 2 pumps of blueberry.
It's the best.
It's delicious. And so
if you're not allergic to nuts, do pecan.
I get up to the window, and yes, I had a substitute caramel with butter pecan, or butter pecan with caramel. Yeah. I get up to the window, and my guy's like, Miss Morgan, you know, he knows me. I'm a regular. He's a regular. He's always working. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? How was your trip? That I'm chatting with him, and he's like, hey, bad news. We're actually like completely out of caramel, but we just got a new shipment in. Try your drink. And I was like, okay. So I tried my drink, and I was like, oh God. I was like, no, it's terrible. And he was like, it's good. Like he thought I was being sarcastic. And I was like, no, like it's literally terrible. He's like, okay, well, what can I put in it? I was like, what are the syrups? Like just
what's
real
in
quick.
it right now?
And they're new caramel.
Oh.
And so he was like, I can do French vanilla, butter pecan. I was like, let's just do a little bit of French vanilla.
Yeah.
So he put some French vanilla in there. He hands it back to me, and I didn't try it, obviously, because now I'm holding up the line, and like everyone behind me also needs to be at the hospital ASAP.
Yeah.
So I take one sip of it. I about vomit, you guys. It was so sweet. It was thick. And I was like, this is disgusting. So I ended up giving it to one of my coworkers.
Yeah.
Another one of my coworkers leaves in the morning, and she's coming back, and I'm texting her. I'm like, hey, is there any way, like if I get us both lattes from Dunkin', will you stop and pick it up? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And she was, don't get me anything. I was like, no, I have to. Like, just let me, like,
literally
guilty
tell me what you
conscious.
want.
So tell me what you want. So I order my drink, and this is a different Dunkin', okay? Probably about 15 miles apart. So she's like, okay, picked it up, is coming back. She comes back in, and she's like, so, oh, wait, I forgot to tell you, and I didn't know what you wanted. I know that you get blueberry, but they told me they were out of caramel. And she was like, so I just told them to sub it with French vanilla. I'm like, no way, this is happening twice in one day. Like, my day.
Was it better that I didn't have the...
It was better,
Okay.
but like, I still, maybe a fourth of it I drank. And it was just so,
Why are they getting a new caramel?
well, so then I hear that like, apparently the caramels at Dunkin' were contaminated. And they like took all of them back. And I was like, thank you, whoever, for not letting that I haven't had it, because I get it every single
Contaminated
morning.
with what?
I wanted to look it up and I never did, but yeah, apparently the Knoxville Dunkin's caramel was contaminated, and that's why something was in it. I don't know. That was the rumor. That's what one of the workers told my coworker, because she gets a caramel macchiato every day.
Lord, I would love to take my little ass to Dunkin' in the morning. That sounds delicious. I've been doing at-home coffees.
Well, don't be getting caramel.
Well, I wouldn't either way. You know, I'm never going to get a caramel anything.
I know you wouldn't.
I will have a little caramel treat, like in your mama's purse, but I will not be having caramel in a coffee. You know what I can't wait for is like peppermint mocha season.
Yes,
please get here, because that's just like a dessert. I'm sorry. That's when you're going to go look at Christmas lights. You get a hot peppermint mocha, you get a cold peppermint mocha, whatever you're feeling, you get whatever you need, just a little sweet treat. Boom, you're gonna go look at Christmas lights. You got Mariah Carey playing in the background. Are you joking? Are you?
They're like, bitches, Halloween just started.
No, and everyone's like got so mad at me at the end of summer. I was like, why are you wishing summer away? Babes, it's been hot as hell here.
Yeah, it's still 85 degrees outside.
It's so hot.
But you know what's so annoying is that, like, where are the other flavors? I know that, you know, in recent years, like, the coffee brands have brought out like apple crisp or like apple and oat milk alongside their pumpkin spice. But like, no. Give me another fall flavor.
Oh, what did we have at K-Brew the other? What did I have at K-Brew? Oh, cinnamon honey vanilla latte. Stunning. It tasted like a candle. It was delicious.
That's what I want.
It was so good.
That's what we
Me
need.
and Logan talked about it because, you know, Adam got it for us when we were going to the game. That was really nice of him. Adam, you're never going to listen to us, but thank you. And it was delish. But when we had to go to Alumni Hall because Logan needed a shirt because he swore up and down he had an orange shirt. He didn't have an orange shirt. We had to go up in the car and go get an orange shirt. And in the car, I was like, just take a sip, because, you know, Logan, we gotta go. I need to go to the store. I need to go to the store. I had coffee already this morning. I had Keurig. I'm like, okay, well, please take a sip. So finally he takes a sip. He's like, that is really good. And so he takes another sip and he's like, are you done with it? No, what do you mean? I'm not done with it.
I'm not fucking done with it.
I'll tell you when I'm done with it, when it's cold and you can have the rest. Yeah.
That is funny.
But it was so good. And that's a good fall if you're not wanting like
I agree.
a vegetable fruit flavor.
Yeah. I just like pumpkin is so, and everything is pumpkin. Donuts.
If it's an artificial taste of a pumpkin, I cannot have it.
Yeah.
I do like a few pumpkin.
I like a chai.
I love a chai.
I like that as a fall flavor.
I like when there's like an apple cider. I'll have a dirty chai apple cider. Have you ever had one of those?
No, that sounds good.
I don't know.
I could have a hottie toddy.
Yeah. A hottie toddy sounds unfucking real right now. If I had whiskey, we'd be having one.
Oh, two
that
hottie toddies,
sounds
please.
real good. I actually have cider and I have sticks of cinnamon.
Oh no.
Because I'm thinking about doing a simmer pot.
Don't get us in the kitchen now.
Don't make us go there. But anyways, guys, we're gonna have to hit you with it because we're on limited time now that we're in a 3-point camera shoot. Boom, pop, boom, pop, boom, pop, pop, pop,
if you're
pop.
driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Okay, besties, let's be for real. Let's keep it
So
100
for real.
right now. How many times a day are you becoming Dr. Google because of something that came across your For You page?
Actually, I live on self-diagnosing from TikTok.
My entire feed is filled with different health trends and things that you should look out for, like cottage cheese and making it your entire meal plan because of the
Seen it.
nutrition benefits. Red light therapy. Can it solve every single one of your problems?
Matter of fact, I actually clicked on a link and almost bought a red light mask, and I was like, wow, that's $1,500. Maybe I shouldn't do
Maybe
that.
I need to reel it in. Let's leave it to the professionals. And if you are like me and Morgan, and by me and Morgan, I mean Morgan, and you have phone anxiety, you can actually leave it up to ZocDoc.
Which is amazing. I hate calling offices. I hate becoming new patients with new patient info, scheduling appointments. It's actually one of my most irrational fears. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment.
With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. You can filter doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need that you may have, and are highly rated by verified real patients.
And then once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings. It's incredible, guys. So you can choose a time slot that works just for you and click to instantly book a visit. There's no phone call. There's no, okay, let me check the calendar. Appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. More often than not, you can even get same-day appointments.
And that is 100% true. I've been having a problem with some breakout eczema on my eyelids because me and Morgan might have or may have not have been using way too much eyeshadow that may or may not have been not really good for your skin. And I was like, I'm going to need to go see a dermatologist. Well, I haven't seen a dermatologist in a really long time. I used ZocDoc and I got in within 72 hours. I'm not even joking. And you know, with a dermatologist, guys, as a new
Doesn't
patient,
happen.
That does not happen. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/CAC besties to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/CAC besties. ZocDoc.com/CAC besties. Alrighty, guys. Let me pull my notes up and guess. Does anyone want to take a guess on what my percentage of my phone is on?
Like 2.
9.
Oh, God.
We're going to do it.
We'll be fine.
All right, besties. So let me set the scene for you for my story. It's April 2021, and police in Colorado get this call to do a welfare check at a home in this teeny little town called Moffat? Sorry.
Mofab?
Moffat. Moffat. Moffat.
Fatty.
Bitch. And we're canceled. Thank you so much for that, Trisha Paytas. You've been canceled on that once. God forbid you say a trending audio. Okay. These things happen all the time. Welfare check. Someone hasn't been seen in a while. Neighbors start to get worried. Cops go and check it out. But when the cops get there and they step inside, they find something that would soon make headlines all over the country. Because in one of the bedrooms, there is a body. And it's clearly been there. They're like, Morgan, are you doing true crime?
I know what.
Maybe. It's clearly been there for some time, and it's in a mummified state. The remains are wrapped in a sleeping bag and surrounded by Christmas string lights. The face of this mummified body has some sort of glittery makeup smeared on its face. And to law enforcement, they're like, okay, so looks like a crime scene, I guess. Like, I'm really confused on what's going on here.
Right.
But to the people living in that house, it wasn't. Because that body belonged to Amy Carlson, the woman her followers called Mother God. And that is the cult that I am covering today.
Oh, okay.
And here's where it gets really unsettling. Her group was still living alongside her remains. They didn't see this as the end of her life, but rather a step in her ascension. In their eyes, she wasn't gone. She was just moving on to a higher spiritual plane. And it wasn't just adults in this home. There were children present, which made things a little bit more even concerning for police.
I mean, yeah, that's not traumatic at all.
Right. Child Protective Services were immediately called, and several members of Amy's group were arrested for abuse of a corpse and child abuse, but we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. We would later find out that this anonymous welfare checker was actually one of Amy's followers and owner of the home, Miguel Lamboy. According to Miguel, he went to the police station and told law enforcement that 5 members of Love Has Won had shown up at his home the day before. Love Has Won is the cult. You know that because it's the name of the episode. Has showed up the day before saying that they needed a place. I keep looking at that camera, but I need to look at that one.
Oh, yeah.
Saying that they needed a place to stay. That next day, he had to drive into Denver, I'm sure why, maybe work. And when he returned back home that evening, he saw that the remains of Amy Carlson, mummified, were on his bed in the back room of his house in front of this makeshift shrine.
Oh, God.
He told police that he tried to take his 2-year-old son and leave the house, but that the members would not let him leave. Eventually, he ended up leaving his son at home, and Miguel drove off to the police station to report the body of Amy Carlson. The discovery obviously was shocking, but for investigators, reporters, and pretty much everyone else who heard the story, it raised a giant question. Who is Amy Carlson, and what was Love Has Won? And that's really where our story begins. Before she became Mother God, Amy Carlson was just Amy. She was born in 1975 in Dallas, Texas, and for most of her early life, she seemed completely ordinary. Friends and family described her as being bright. She was really funny. She was super social. She grew up in a middle-class household, did pretty well in school, and for a while, she seemed set on a pretty normal path. As a young adult, Amy was a manager at McDonald's, and apparently she was a fucking fantastic manager at McDonald's. She married twice, had 3 children, and lived what looked like this typical suburban life. But according to those who knew her, something kind of shifted in the mid-2000s. She started pulling away from her family, and she became really drawn to New Age spirituality and online spiritual communities. For those that don't know, New Age spirituality is kind of this catch-all term for a bunch of spiritual beliefs and practices that became really popular like around the 70s and the 80s. And some common things are reincarnation, past lives, channeling, spirit guides, energy healing like Reiki, ascension, higher dimensions, Mother Earth, all while conspiracy blending. It's actually
sounds like our
literally
business.
In my name, in my notes, it says it's actually literally Taylar and I.
Yeah.
We're actually New Age spirituality.
Are we doing that right now?
Right. Around 2006, Amy made a choice that would change everything. She up and left her children and left her life behind and dove headfirst into what she believed was her true purpose. To her family, it was obviously heartbreaking because her children were suddenly without their mother. And to Amy, though, she believed that she was stepping into her destiny. She started getting involved in these online circles. And within these online circles, she was able to reinvent herself. She began telling people that she wasn't just Amy Carlson. She was Mother God, the divine feminine, the mother of all creation. And she claimed that she had been reincarnated more than 500 times. Her list of past lives, it included Jesus Christ, because that was a woman, Joan of Arc, Cleopatra, and even Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, she got the big game.
Yeah.
She said, I'll take every single one of the top
Important figures
players.
in every life, actually.
100% every generation.
And from this, she was able to grow a following because her followers believed it. They saw her as this cosmic leader here to guide them and humanity into this new age. And Amy fully leaned into this. What's interesting is that this transformation didn't really happen overnight. It started with these spiritual chats online and then small groups of followers, and then eventually it grew into something much larger. Because the way she built her group is really a story about timing. Because around 2006, my dad keeps Facebook messaging me.
What? What is he?
Sending me videos.
Oh, God. There's literally no telling what they are.
Yesterday they were about this cave, this hot spring cave in Utah to
for your radio show?
For your little radio show.
Your little radio show. Got it.
And I was like, oh yeah. I said, are you paying for that trip? He goes, I've been there. I'm like, okay.
Okay, well then report it back for a creepy count. How about that?
Like, no, it wasn't even haunted.
Oh,
it was just like, check out
this
is the number one destination no one knows about in Utah. And I was like, oh wow, are you gonna take us there? Like, you buying? And he's like, I've been. I'm like, okay. All
right, cool. Well, hey, while you're paused, can I please put my shoes on? Because both my legs are dead asleep.
Yes.
1 second.
Around 2006 to 2009, as we know, social media was exploding. YouTube, Facebook groups, internet forums, and suddenly anybody was able to broadcast their message to the world or
Like
their
us.
thoughts or literally us.
Yeah.
And Amy took full advantage of this. She launched what became Love Has Won, which was, again, a mix of this new age spirituality as well as some self-help and honestly some pretty heavy conspiracy theories, which I have a whole section that we're going to talk about.
Oh.
On the surface, it sounded harmless. There was lots of talk about love and light and healing. But at the core, it was really about Amy. She told her followers that she was the mother of all creation, the divine source who had come to earth to guide humanity through an ascension into a higher dimension. People who felt lost or were searching for meaning online found her. And when they did, she gave them a very clear mission. Leave behind your old life, your family, your job, devote yourself fully to me.
Oh,
And a lot of people did.
okay.
Her followers moved in with her, took care of her, and handed over money, belongings, anything you could think of. For them, she wasn't just a teacher, she was literally God. At its peak, the group had maybe 20 or so people living with Amy at a time, but there was hundreds of people who supported her online. They ran daily live streams that were part sermon, part Q&A, part bizarre, like late night rants. It's literally us.
Oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
And if you watch those old videos, Amy often comes across like less like a serene guru and more like a very angry mom. She was always like drinking really heavily on camera. She was yelling at her followers while on her live stream.
Drinking heavily?
No, this is drinking heavily, yelled at her followers, berated them for not doing enough. We would never do that to you guys.
No.
Only when you're mean.
Only when you leave us one's nervous.
Only in a what are those called?
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Sorry, she was cursing. She was berating her followers because they weren't doing enough to serve her mission. But still, people kept tuning into her. Some would even pay for these spiritual healing sessions where they would buy supplements that Amy and her group Love Has Won sold, or they would donate money to keep the mission going. It was a really this strange like hybrid of like live stream cult, self-help brand, multi-level marketing, like a pyramid scheme situation
God.
going on, all it grouped into one. So it literally started with a small online community that was orbiting around this one woman who claimed that she was God. So what was it actually like to live inside Love Has Won and or be a part of this community? On the outside, Amy and her group marketed themselves as this peaceful, light-filled community. They were spreading love, they were healing. But once you were in, life looked a little bit different. First off, Amy was always at the top of the pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid,
Amy.
me, Amy.
Could you imagine? And at the top of the pyramid, us.
She was Mother God, the unquestioned leader. Everyone else was basically there to serve her. Members called her mom and treated her like she truly was the mother of all creation. If she wanted something and I made food, massages, money, attention, it was expected that followers would provide it. No questions asked.
Oh, okay.
Kind of jealous of that. No, I'm just kidding.
How
That's
do
so fucked
we
up.
form the cult to come
Literally.
in person?
They're like, you have one, piping hot.
Yeah, it's like
OG
actually
pick me
we
call.
do have one. It's called our husbands. You want your Stanley filled up? Then hey,
I'll bitch about it, but I'll do it. And Amy wasn't exactly this gentle, nurturing figure that you would imagine when you hear Mother God. Multiple former members have said that she could be harsh, controlling, verbally abusive to them. She'd scream at her followers, again, for not being devoted enough, or accuse them of being infected with ego. Literally took a play out of Jodie Hildebrand's playbook, or whatever that lady's name is.
Jodie Hildebrand. So she's like, you're infected with ego, but I am at the top of the pyramid.
And I need a massage stat.
Babe, hey,
Sit the fuck down.
take a breath and take a look around.
Her health was also declining, which added to the intensity inside of the group. Again, like we know, she had been drinking for years. She was also battling cancer and treating herself by taking colloidal silver, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a liquid supplement that people sometimes claim has healing powers. Growing up, my mother was a colloidal silver mom. If I had an ear infection, it was in my ear. If I had a
Canker sore?
I was gargling it.
Oh my God.
Like we loved colloidal silver in the house. My mom still does. I actually called her when I was doing these notes and I was like, Mom, because
You need to burn that shit.
instead of curing her, it caused her skin to turn this bluish gray color. which is true. It does do that when you consume large amounts. To her followers, this wasn't alarming at all.
Is this what the intense anti-vaxxers were saying cured COVID?
Maybe. I didn't see any of that. I don't know.
Probably. There's this family in my town that like MLM'd the fuck out of it and like got in a lot of trouble.
Really?
Yeah. And if
my mom would buy it at just like I don't think she ever bought it like off someone. She would go and buy it at like Vitamin Shop. You know, like
because you can get it places like that, but you can also like buy it from people if it's the thing that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I've never tried it. I've never looked into it.
Yeah.
I
mean, my mom still swears like cold sores and stuff. Like she put it on there and she's like, it's gone.
Might.
Yeah, I don't.
Who knows?
I don't know. Anyway, so she's consuming.
I don't think it's going to cure cancer.
She's like binge drinking it though to cure her cancer, and it's turning her skin this bluish gray color. Her followers, they didn't find this alarming at all. Instead, they thought that this was proof that her body was transforming as she was preparing to ascend to a higher dimension. The daily life of the group revolved around serving Amy and spreading her message. They had meals, chores, online broadcasts, all of it was centered around Amy. Members often gave up contact with their families, and many of those families would later say that they felt like they had lost their loved ones to a digital black hole. And if you're thinking that this sounds a little unstable, well, you're not alone, because the group was constantly moving around, often because they would wear out their welcome in whatever town they landed in. But one of the most dramatic examples was in 2020 when the group relocated to Hawaii.
Ooh.
Locals there were absolutely furious about this because Amy began to claim that she was the Hawaiian goddess Pele.
Oh,
Pele, is that right?
Pele.
I
think so.
P-E-L-E.
Yeah, Pele.
Oh
my God.
She had protesters gathered around outside. They were chanting. They were demanding that they left. And eventually the group had to leave and they were escorted out by police for their own safety. You know.
Okay.
I tried to dig up what conspiracy theories that she was really preaching to her group and online. And this is what I found here and there. Now, this is all through Reddit, old Facebook posts, videos. So take each with a grain of salt. But honestly, I don't doubt a single one.
Right.
Obviously, what we know is true is that she was every important figure in history. She was Jesus. She was Marilyn Monroe, Cleopatra, and she was the Hawaiian goddess Pele. Each past life supposedly gave her these special knowledge and powers that she would carry into the next past life. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, Mr. President.
That's her superpower.
That was that superpower.
Yeah.
When Amy started weaving QAnon ideas into her teachings around 2020. This is when she started to claim that Donald Trump was her divine masculine counterpart, or in other words, referred to him as Father God.
Okay.
And that Father God, Donald Trump, was secretly working with her to bring a global ascension, that he was actually like hand in hand with Amy's group. They were.
I mean, take a look around.
Literally, mom and dad. Take a look around.
Take a look around. Do we not look ascended to you?
They are mom and dad.
That is mom and dad. The corpse and the orange man.
Yep, mom and dad.
Blue and orange.
Yeah, blue and orange.
Go Broncos.
Go Denver.
Go Denver Broncos.
She was found.
That's where DIA. Well, hey, look, we've always known something was under that fucking airport.
And that's where it's Trump
where
and
Trump
Amy.
and Amy. Duh.
Yeah. She also preached that the world was about to shift from this third dimension to this fifth dimension, or 3D to 5D. Only those who accepted her as Mother God obviously would survive this spiritual shift and ascend to a higher plane of existence. And everyone else, well, you'd be fucked and you'd be left behind in 3D. Amy also told followers that doctors, vaccines, pharmaceuticals were part of a global plot to keep humanity sick. Instead, she sold spiritual healing sessions and supplements like colloidal silver, claiming that they could cure everything from cancer to COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
Amy would sometimes claim credit for major storms ending or for changes in the weather. A lot of her followers believed that she could control hurricanes, earthquakes, and even wildfires through this divine energy that she had. Amy also said that she was in contact with something called the Galactic Federation, which were basically a council of aliens that were helping her. It was like the Council of Aliens, Donald Trump, and Amy that were helping her prepare Earth for ascension.
Okay. I'm glad that they can work together as a team.
Yeah, they're a really good team.
They really prepped us all. Don't you feel prepped?
Yes. Yeah. Really. I really do. Some live streams included long rants about spaceships, star families, multidimensional beings. And at one point, Amy said that famous people had been replaced by dark forces or cabal members. She called these figures famous whores or energy vampires who were sucking humanity's love and light.
Good Lord.
The core belief of the group was that Amy was the living embodiment of Mother Earth, literally the planet spirit in human form. And if humanity didn't treat her properly, the planet would retaliate with disasters. Basically, in almost every scenario, Amy was the savior, but she was also the victim. So she was fighting these dark forces everywhere, from celebrities to government to vaccines to, I don't even fucking know.
She's doing the Lord's work.
She really is.
She really thought she was.
Now you might be wondering, how the hell did people actually join this cult? Like, why is anyone believing this and following it? It's not like she was standing on a street corner with this clipboard saying like, hi, would you like to meet Mother God today? Like, she wasn't doing that. It was a very 21st century kind of cult, and their recruiting really reflected that. Their main gateway was the live streams. The group went live on YouTube and Facebook pretty much every single day, and these streams would go on for hours and hours and hours, sometimes late into the night. And you guys know how if you're scrolling TikTok for too long, you end up on a random live stream. You're like, what the fuck is going on
Morgan
here?
last night was on some crazy
Guys,
shit.
that's when I know it's bedtime.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get to the point where like this thumb, the fat on this thumb here starts going like this because my hand's closing because I'm falling asleep.
Yep.
And then it starts trying to share and repost.
And you're like,
I always usually, if I'm on
Lord.
TikTok before bed, I have to check my reposts.
yeah, you kind of have to do that everywhere, especially since now Instagram has the new repost feature. You can literally be looking at the comments and you've reposted.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
Yeah, that's scary.
That is scary.
Hate that. Move it to the top.
Yeah, because if I'm looking at the comments and I'm not like interested in the
Because
video, and didn't
everything's
like
crazier
it,
in the comments.
I just want to see what the reaction people are having because I want to make sure I'm validated. Because
Right,
my reaction,
agreed.
I'm like,
I'd be looking at some shit that I don't disagree with, and I would hate to be caught reposting something like that.
Yeah.
When really, in reality, I'm laughing
AI.
with the comments because
Yeah.
the comments are like on the same page as
yeah,
me.
exactly. Like I'm not doing something like I do not agree with this video. I'm cackling at everyone in the comments being like, and this is actually fucking crazy.
Yeah. So just picture Amy and a few of her followers. They're sitting around. They're talking about ascension. They're ranting about 3D people, and they're weaving in these conspiracy theories about the government to someone who's scrolling looking for, I don't even like calling this new age spirituality because I just don't think that that's what it was, but that is what the cult is considered. But so if someone's scrolling, looking in or looking for that new age like content, and there's Amy looking like this spiritual guru that had us all the answers. I mean, from there, the next step was usually they would get a healing session, and then the group offered things like etheric surgery or spiritual guidance on the website. And for a donation, you could book a call with one of Amy's followers who would then explain your soul mission and introduce you to the idea that Amy was Mother God. So it was like a very quick turnaround here. For a lot of people, this was the hook that they would pay for, this one session, and then suddenly they were in deeper than they had expected. Once someone showed interest, the whole group was love bombing them. New recruits were invited into private Facebook groups, chat rooms, and this is where members would message them constantly. They tell them things like, you're chosen, you're one of the 144,000 souls that are destined to ascend when we go to 5D. For someone who was lonely or looking for meaning, that kind of attention felt incredible. And of course, Amy offered healing and offered purpose. So if you were sick, she said she could cure you. If you felt lost, she'd tell you that she knew why that you were there. Doctors, family, the outside world, they didn't understand you, but Amy did. And finally, for the most devoted, there was the ultimate step, and that was moving in with Amy. Followers would leave their homes, like I said, their families, sometimes even their kids, to live with the group full time. And once there, they were isolated, they were dependent, and they were fully under Amy's control. So if we're really looking at the pipeline, it went something like this. Random internet wanderer to live stream viewer to a healing session to a chat room recruit to love bombing to invited to move in. Just like that.
Damn.
Yes. After years of leading Love Has Won, Amy Carlson's health began to fail rapidly, and it didn't take long before it started affecting life inside the group. Obviously, Amy was sick. She had cancer, she was heavy drinking, and then also binging colloidal silver down her throat. But despite these obvious signs of illness, her followers insisted she wasn't sick at all. To them, like I said, she was processing humanity's pain. She was taking it on for all of us sinners here on earth.
So, amen.
Amen. Her public live streams in the final months showed a frailer, a lot thinner Amy, a lot grayer, bluer Amy. She struggled to speak clearly and often relied on her followers to help get her through her live sessions. Yet she kept broadcasting, keeping her followers engaged. She was reinforcing the group's beliefs, and she was insisting that her body's condition was all a part of her divine plan. The group itself was feeling the strain as well. Some members started questioning her teachings or were expressing concern for her health, and this led to tension within the community. But again, leaving wasn't really easy. After years of isolation, love bombing, you've given her everything, devotion, and the outside world felt dangerous to you. In mid of April 2020, the group was in Northern California in or around the Mount Shasta area, living in an RV park. And around April 10th, she was last seen by anyone. This is when she was last seen by anyone outside the inner circle. Shortly after, according to the group, she passed away. And this is where things in this timeline get a little complicated. Rather than immediately notifying authorities, her followers kept her body within their control. They first moved her to a lodge in Ashland, Oregon, where she had been staying in one of their makeshift living arrangements. And at this point, her condition was clear to anyone outside that she would have been dead, at this point in time. If she were spotted by anyone in the public. But she wasn't. They kept her very close to them.
Oh, God.
Inside the group, followers insisted that, again, even though she was dead at this point, that she was still ascending. She was processing humanity's pain. In the days following, the group reportedly transported her remains multiple times. Some accounts say that she was moved to a nearby forest to avoid detection at one point, but eventually her body was transported back towards Colorado to the property of Miguel, who was associated with the group. And on April 28th, 2021, law enforcement finally intervened. So she was last seen on April 10th, and then on April 28th is when the police found her, so 18 days. Police discovered Amy's mummified body in the back bedroom of that home in Moffat, Colorado. Again, she was wrapped in a sleeping bag, decorated with string lights, had glitter all over her face. The state of the remains suggests that she had been dead for weeks, and as we know, she was last seen alive on the 10th. Ultimately, 7 people were arrested for abuse of a corpse, though these charges were later dropped. An autopsy later determined that Amy Carlson's death was likely caused by a combination of alcohol abuse, anorexia, and chronic colloidal silver ingestion.
Oof.
But her death did not erase the group's online presence or the teachings that she left behind or the people that she had brought into her circle or into Love Has Won. The group is allegedly not active today. However, many former members have formed their own groups and have continued to teach their interpretations of Amy's teachings. And that is the story of Love Has Won.
Well, thank God that's over.
Thank you for that. Happy
Thank
season
you for
6
that.
opener.
Glad to know it. Glad to hear it. Don't ever want. I feel like I remember this happening. Did we talk about this on What's New Wednesday?
We might have.
Because
think
that sounds the
mummified body
of the cult leader,
and that's what I remember. That's why I had asked you, have we covered it before? Because it did sound so familiar.
I mean, maybe
but
it
it
was
was
big on TikTok or something.
Yeah, and I think it really was.
Yeah.
A lot of old videos are also resurfacing of her, and no, this was requested by one of our Patreon members in the chat. So.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Patreon. We love our little recommendation.
We do
chat,
be peeking in there
because she is always loyal to me. Always, always, always. I don't have any words for that. I really don't.
Me neither. But imagine you do have to think though, on an outside standpoint, the manipulation.
Yes,
that was done to these followers. In order for them to continue believing when she's fucking dead.
When she's literally dead. These people were
Crazy.
brainwashed. These people were brainwashed.
That is sick. That someone
she had to have someone
able to do that
with her too. That was there was someone else in this equation.
Because Miguel's what is that? And they're like, you can't leave. You can't go to the police. And
what is that? What is that corpse with glitter all over it?
Yeah, with a little shrine.
And why did no one get charged?
I don't know.
Because it was a religious thing?
I'm assuming they're probably protected by that. And that her cause of death was natural causes? Well,
I mean,
it
was technically natural.
Yeah, but you transported the body. I mean, across. You were in
That's
Oregon.
illegal.
You were in
that's a
first. You were in
federal
California,
crime.
Mount Shasta. It's the last time she was seen. Then you were in Oregon, and then you were in the woods, and then you were in Colorado.
And she's mummified?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. She's been dead for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, they said they assumed weeks, but apparently there was one person who spotted her alive on April 10th.
Okay, and I believe that this much.
I know.
And I'll take that with the smallest grain of salt that I can ever find.
And I also feel like it'd be really hard to, well, I don't know, maybe not today, but like perform a legit
Embalm,
autopsy to determine like how long she's been dead when you mummify a body.
Well, that's the thing is it doesn't matter how amazing technology is ever going to get. We can never determine how old someone is, like based on DNA. It's not like a tree where we can count out.
Right.
Humans aren't
Rings.
like that, you know, or else it wouldn't be that crazy case where everyone thinks that little girl wasn't a little girl. She was a full grown adult. That Ellen Pompeo
Yes.
acted in Natasha something. Like we would be able to tell what her biological age is.
Yeah.
Via genetic testing. And you can't tell that in death either, unfortunately.
Right.
You could tell like in immediate hours after because of rigor mortis, but even still then it's like a toss in the hat of the hour
Right.
could be up, you know.
Right. And if you mummify to preserve, then like you really have no idea.
You have no idea. I mean, it's just like whenever someone passes away.
But also, if
in,
she
like,
was
Florida,
ascending, why did you need to mummify her body?
See, that's why I'm wondering if it was in the cold, dry places.
Well, and like also their makeshift like camps were like legit camps. Like they were outside, or they were in an RV park, or you know they were in the forest. Like they were legit.
A body will mummify itself.
Yeah.
And
I think
what
they
month was
definitely
it?
April. I think they definitely aided the mummification, but I don't.
They definitely did something. Well, or maybe it was that fucking silver shit. Only God knows what that does to you.
Silver shit. I can't believe you never had it.
No, I've never had it.
Let me know if anyone else's mom was a colloidal silver.
I've
because
never had that.
I was every ear infection. It was in
I've
my
had
ear.
a lot of tinctures and shit in my life. I've never had that. I mean, you know, I could have at some point and have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's not anything that I am aware
She
of.
still stands by it. I talked to her last night. Don't come after my mom. My mom does not think it'll cure COVID.
If you dare. Look, we have a rule here, okay? You can say whatever you want to about us, okay? You can say whatever you want to about us.
Don't you dare come after our mom.
You fucking talk about our families. There is nothing left. We will be on your Facebook. We'll be saying shit about your mom. Like, do not fucking ever talk about our families. It's done. And yeah, you can say shit about me, but you can't say shit about Morgan. Okay?
Yes, and you can say shit about me, but not about Taylor.
Exactly.
Not about Taylor's sisters or her parents, and not about my siblings or my parents.
And if you bring up the husbands, then it's on
God,
site.
don't even
fucking do it. It's on site. All right. That's
our
all.
baby boys.
Yeah, you fucking joking? Don't ever speak about them on site. All right.
What you got for us,
Ooh,
Taylor?
I've got something for you today. By that, I mean, don't get excited. I got nothing that's worth getting out. Ooh, I got nothing like that.
Okay.
Nothing like that, unfortunately, because, you know, I do the crime side of things and it's not fun.
Yeah, I have free reign.
Yeah, you get to go do crazy fuck shit like colloidal silver or whatever.
You should do a deep dive on that.
Mummifying you, then.
I'm going to do a deep dive on colloidal silver one day.
Yeah, maybe.
Whole episode on it.
You know, I wonder what I'm going to look it up. I'm going to take a little looky poo.
Take a little peek.
Because did it help you with your canker sores?
Yeah, I mean.
And cold sores and stuff? You think it did?
Yeah. Definitely helps with the ear
I
infections.
currently have a
Earaches.
canker sore. That's why I'm very interested in learning, because this canker sore is it's like,
I think there's even
top
been
of my
times
mouth.
in the past where I tell you put colloidal silver on it, and you're probably like, "Oh, what is that?" And you
Yeah.
just like ignore me, and
Okay.
you're like, "Okay, yeah, I have it. I
Yeah.
did."
I'll find that. Yeah, no, what I'm putting on canker sores is I'm grinding up salt and I'm sticking it on it and holding it until it burns so
fucking
bad.
psycho.
It dries it out and then it just goes away.
You just tolerate the pain,
yeah, and then I'll have an emergency.
grin and bear it. Yeah.
And then have a little bit of turmeric, ginger.
oh yeah, you
shoot
do
that shit.
that I could never. Yeah, I know.
Look, guys, I'm gonna clear my shit. I'll put some Tabasco in that. Goodbye. Good night. Bye your life.
Ugh.
Okay. So let's get into this case. This is the case of Heidi Firkus. It's 6:32 a.m. on Sunday, April 25th, 2010 in St. Paul, Minnesota, when a 911 call comes in from a young woman. She is calm, but you can tell that she is scared, with her voice trembling as she says to the operator, "Someone is trying to break into my home." The dispatcher asked the woman to confirm that she heard her correctly, repeating back to her, "Someone's trying to break into your home? What is your address?" The young woman says yes and then gives the dispatcher her address. The dispatcher repeats the address back to the woman and asks for the woman to confirm. But before the woman could respond, there was a loud sound followed by a scream, and then the call abruptly ends. The dispatcher immediately sends several St. Paul officers to the address given to her by the young woman, advising that this is a home invasion that was active, in progress. 3 officers are racing to the scene with lights and sirens ablazing. When 65 seconds after the call abruptly ended with that woman, a second 911 call comes in from that same address. This time it was from a man, and he was screaming, "Hello, please, somebody just broke into our home and shot me in the leg." The man is screaming, he is crying, he is frantic, he is panicking, and he screams out, "My wife is shot, someone broke into our home, I've been shot." The dispatcher is trying to reassure him that help is on the way, they already had gotten a call, when the man screams out, "No," like as loud as he can. It was like a guttural scream. Basically what had happened is that he had finally managed to crawl over to his wife, who was not moving or breathing. Not long after this, the 3 officers arrived at the house while the man was still on the phone with the 911 dispatcher. The 3 officers are observing every single detail that they can about the outside of the home, having no idea if the intruder, who is presumed to be armed and dangerous, is still around. They see that the front screen door is open, with the front door just barely kind of cracked. And on the front door frame, they can clearly see tool marks as if someone had used a crowbar to pry the door open, indicating a forced entry. In a tactical formation, these 3 officers line up and they kick the front door in, entering into the home's foyer. To their left, they see an archway that leads to a living room, and to their right are the stairs that lead to the second floor of the home. And directly in front of them is a woman lying face down halfway through the doorway of the kitchen and the foyer, with her husband still on the phone with 911, frantically screaming for help by her side. The smell of gunpowder is so strong, making it very evident that shots had recently been fired in that house just moments before. Lying in the foyer were a pair of women's yellow slip-on flats by the entry table on the left, and a double-barrel shotgun lying just beside them. Then to the right of the door, closer to the stairs, the officers observed a pair of blue jeans lying in the floor. One of the officers immediately goes over to the victim and begins rendering aid, while the other 2 clear the 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,500 square foot and some change house. Once cleared, the officers ushered the medics in that were like right behind them, and they load the man onto a gurney and rush him to the hospital via ambulance to be treated for a gunshot wound that he had to his thigh. But unfortunately, the woman would be pronounced dead at the scene, and her name was Heidi Firkus. She was only 25 years old.
Oh my God. That's fucking terrible.
So her husband's name is Nick Firkus, and now I have to take a second and switch over to handwritten notes. Okay. So Heidi and Nick, they had been married for about 4.5 years at this point in time. So I would say like still newlyweds. You know, once you get to the 5-year mark, you're no longer a newlywed, because, you know, whenever they do those things at the weddings and they're like, you can stay dancing if you've been married for more than for 5 years. You get to stay dancing. You're not immediately out, right? So I would say below that, you're a newlywed. They're in their mid-20s. Like I said, Heidi is 25, and they had just bought this home in St. Paul, specifically the Hamlin Midway neighborhoods, in June of 2009. So 10-ish months prior. The 2 were very, very active in their church. They were 100% family oriented, with like a very strong community around them. They were, when I say they were very involved and active in their church, like it was a part of their life. Like it was very much integrated into who they were and how they lived their lives. They, like I said, were living in the Hamlin Midway neighborhoods of St. Paul, and this is like a very, very safe, quiet, and family-friendly area of St. Paul, according to the police chief at the time, who is now retired, named Todd Axtell. Heidi and Nick were a part of a great tight-knit community within that neighborhood and area, in addition to their church, which was also in the area. However, it is noted that it does take a little bit longer in Minnesota to get super close with your neighbors. And I'm sure like a lot of northern states like that, where you get brutal fucking winters that go on forever, depending on what time of year that you move in. Because obviously if you move in the winter, we're not going to see you for months, you know, because maybe I'll see you shoveling your driveway, getting your...
But you're also hibernating.
Right, your mail coming in and out with your groceries. But you don't get to like sit there and talk to someone like you do and get to know them in the summer. And this is actually noted by like many of the neighbors that were interviewed, and they were like, they had moved in at the end of summer. So by the time they got settled and like you would naturally go meet these people, it was winter. And so we had only got to the highs and buys of everything. But everyone thought that this couple was super, super nice. They were good people. They were good, quiet neighbors. There was never anything crazy or nefarious going on over there. When they would get to speak with Heidi or Nick as they were, you know, shoveling snow, bringing in the mail, taking in groceries, they were always very, very kind, welcoming, and inviting to their neighbors, like willing to sit there and chat for a little bit, even though everyone was shivering. You know, Nick and Heidi were truly role models to were truly role models to so many of those who knew them, especially within their church, because it was no secret that faith was at the center. It was the powerhouse of their relationship. They were very active in the Calvary Church. That was the name of their church, with each of them leading youth groups where they would take the kids on these big and fun camping trips, fishing trips, whatever may have you, sleepovers, shopping sprees. They lived, like I said, in that neighborhood that was super safe, and it was a very much residential area with a lot of like single family homes that had some petty crimes that I'll get to, but like really nothing violent, nothing crazy was going on in these neighborhoods. Just like your
classic neighbor app being like, hey, who knocked over my trash can?
Exactly. Like that was the extent of it. They had a very sweet and loving relationship with one another. And many of Heidi's friends actually said in several of the interviews that they had done with, whether it's 48 Hours that I watched or 2020 Dateline, that all of her friends were like, we prayed to find a man like Nick to marry, because he just loved her so well and their relationship was so beautiful. Heidi was a light. She was always smiling, joyful, cheerful, with this mischievous edge to her, some of her friends said, because she was always willing to like be jokey and be fun and be the life of the party, but she also had like this deepness of her, and she was willing to go deep with people. So that made people be able to connect with her in a different way, and it made her feel a lot more tangible, like to live the lifestyle that she did, which many people within her church looked up to, like I said. Nick worked for his family's subcontracting business, like carpet installation and stuff like that, which was very, very successful. So they were just doing great. Like they had just bought this house. They had been married for 4.5 years. They were killing it with their community and their church. And it was about time that they were going to start settling down and having kids and, you know, moving on to the different phases of life.
Back to the phone.
Back to the phone now. Now back to the case, now that you know who these people are. After rushing Nick to the hospital, detectives, crime scene investigators, and forensics teams began processing and documenting the crime scene. Meanwhile, other officers and canine units began canvassing the area to see if anyone heard or saw anything going on. Because again, this happened at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
This wasn't like...
No one's up.
3 o'clock, you know, but at the same time, like maybe people were up because it was only 6:30 in the morning. Like I said, it's a quiet neighborhood, so that means there's probably a lot of old people. Or if the canines would be able to pick up on the intruder scent that had run away, because again, they had the canine units out there canvassing alongside the officers who are knocking on doors. They learned from a neighbor that lived directly to the left of Heidi and Nick that he had actually heard the 2 gunshots ring out and had immediately jumped up and ran to his window that looked towards the street and Heidi and Nick's house. However, he did not see anyone or hear anything else after those 2 shots. So there was no one like fleeing from the house. There was nothing that he could see, and he had a full view of their front, and he was pretty rapidly able to get to the window because he was sitting like in this chair. He like showed officers, like, I was sitting in the chair, I stood up and I looked outside.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Because if someone was running out, then
that's assuming that they ran out of the front door, right? You know, and
I guess I'm just picturing neighborhoods like back with the fences.
Yeah, no, this is like my neighborhood.
Okay.
Like stacked on top of each other, many yards with like tiny little front yards with a big sidewalk down. So you could see down it, you know what I mean? As for the canines, they were unable to pick up on any scents, which can happen for a multitude of reasons, especially like depending on the weather, the wind, if it had rained, you know, whatever it may have.
We learned that from the TikTok lady.
Exactly. All of this to say that the investigation had just begun and was already heading dead end after dead end. What they really needed was to speak with Nick and get more details on exactly what had happened that morning. And just hours later, they would actually get the opportunity to do that because that shot in his thigh had miraculously missed his artery. Therefore, he was not facing any life-threatening injuries. He was patched up and ready to go. And he was able to leave the hospital within hours of being rushed there.
Wow.
He was literally let go from the hospital. Back home. Detective Jim Gray wanted Nick to start with the 24 hours prior to the home invasion because after he left the hospital, he agreed to go down to the police station so he could give his formal statement, and he wanted to do it on camera because, like, you know, it's better than having to write it out. You know, I'll sit there in the room and get that shit on camera. So Detective Jim Gray wanted Nick to start with the 24 hours prior to the home invasion. So that way he wouldn't be immediately like reliving the trauma. It would allow him to step back, get us there, and then go through it. So he wanted him to start with Saturday, April 24th, 2010. Nick explained that Heidi had plans to go shopping with one of her friends from church at the Mall of America for some spring pieces because, you know, it's like finally getting warm. We can wear, you know, maybe a little t-shirt. Let's see what they got at the store. So her friend comes over to the house. They hang out for a bit inside. Nick chats with Heidi and her friend, and then the two of them leave to go on their little shopping trip. And while they were out, Nick stayed behind. He like cleaned up around the house, but mainly just relaxed because he had worked that entire week, you know. And he texted Heidi once, you know, at one time while she was out and was just asking like, hey, like, what's your plans? What time are you gonna be home? Because he wanted to have like a little in-house couch date night.
Okay, cute.
Love this. Heidi was like, 100% dream date. You knew that, cute. Heidi agreed and gave him her timeline via text. And that evening, when Heidi returned home, the house was cleaned by Nick.
Wow.
And he had ordered
my dream date too. And you knew that.
He had ordered their favorite takeout. They had a glass or two of wine and they watched the movie Avatar until it was time for bed. I mean, dream date, truly.
Literally.
At which point they were a little bit tipsy, you know, 2 glasses of wine will do that to you. It doesn't take much when it comes to wine. So they went upstairs to go to sleep. Now, Nick then stopped in the story and admitted to Detective Jim Gray that he was not totally 100% sure that either him or Heidi had locked the door. He was like, I have no idea. You know, it was kind of a blur. We were tired. We were dozing off on the couch. We got up and we walked upstairs. I don't know if we locked it earlier. She might have locked it. He said, normally we would do that. I just can't recall this one specific night. However, we do know that the door was locked because it had to be pried open, right?
Yeah.
So he admits us to Detective Jim Gray. Now, fast forward to 6 a.m. It's now Sunday, April 25th. Nick wakes up to the classic wine-fueled dry mouth that, God forbid, you have one too many glasses, too many sips of wine. We've all been there.
Yeah.
That you wake up in the middle of the night with like the most atrocious cotton mouth that you've ever had, with a sweet taste in the back of your mouth that you just want to vomit. So he's like, I need water, stat. He jumps up, stumbles into their bathroom, bends down into the sink, and takes a big fucking gulp of water, and you know it's bad.
And that's fair.
You know it's bad, okay? And then he gets back in the bed. And thankfully, he gets back in the bed thinking, like, I've got a few more hours before I have to get up and start getting ready for church, because they had to be at church that morning. So he begins dozing off, which wasn't taking that long. So he's going in and out of sleep, you know, as you do when you get back into the bed. And he hears the familiar sound of their front screen door opening. That immediately shocks him awake. And you know when you're like in that half asleep dozing
you're like,
off?
Did I hear that?
Yeah, you're like, was that a dream, or was that, you know, that's kind of what happens to him. So he opens his eyes and he lays there as still as possible, slowing down his breathing, like holding his breath. That's what I always do. I'm like, I need it as quiet as possible. And he's listening intently to see if that's what he had actually heard. And a few seconds later, he hears another sound. This time it was what he described to be fiddling with the front door. Now, like I said, the Hamlin, whatever the name is, Midway neighborhood was considered to be very quiet, super safe, family, residential, single family home type of area with some petty crimes. However, these petty crimes were mostly like breaking into cars. You know, if you left your garage open or your garage door unlocked, someone would
shovel or a lawnmower,
they're gonna take something out of there. And this had actually happened one time before, right after they moved into the house. Heidi had a sleepover with some of the girls from the church, like I said she did, and someone had broken into one of the other like youth group leaders' cars outside of the house and stole some stuff. So that's kind of what he's thinking. So you hear this and you're like, oh shit, kind of reminds me of my area. Like I'm a little bit more, you are too. Like when we hear some commotion, we're like, okay, let me get up and see what that is. Either way, I say all that to say that it was nothing that was violent, nothing like breaking and entering. However, if there's other petty crimes going on around, it's feasible that could be an escalation coming up. Now, either way, Nick jumps up out of the bed and he goes to his closet within the bedroom, and he puts on his shoes. He puts on some pants because he's sleeping in his underwear, He grabs Heidi's shoes and both him and Heidi a jacket. And then in the back of the closet, he grabs his double barrel shotgun. Now, this shotgun Nick used for hunting. That's why he originally bought it. And he kept it in the closet for safety, loaded, just in case of situations like this. Now, he grabs his shotgun and he then takes the jacket and the shoes over to Heidi that he grabbed for her out of the closet. He gently wakes her up and he says, listen, babe, someone is breaking into the house. I need you to put on this jacket and these shoes because we have got to get out of here. And he explains this like plan that he has concocted. So basically what they were going to do was go down the stairs, past the front door, because they had no other choice. Like you had to pass directly by the front door in order to get to the kitchen. That would lead you to the back door that would take you into the backyard. From the backyard, they were going to go straight across their backyard into their detached garage where their cars were parked, get into their cars where they're going to be safe, call 911 and leave the house so that way police can come. But he was bringing a shotgun with him in order, just in case something happened.
Yeah.
So she agrees. She jumps up. She puts on her jacket. She puts on her shoes. She grabs her phone and they start heading down the stairs with Heidi calling 911 and being on the phone call that we started this case with, right? So they're quietly making their way down the stairs with Nick right behind Heidi holding the shotgun. Now, this is when Detective Jim Gray stops him and says, son, why the hell are you behind your wife?
Right.
Going down the stairs,
actually pushing
directly past the front door that someone is actively breaking into when you are the one with the weapon.
Right.
And basically, he just explains that in his groggy, sleep, panicked mind, he thought this was the best way for him to keep Heidi in his sight. He didn't want her, like when they went past the front door, for her to be behind him. So he thought, I'll keep her in front of me so that way she can be, I can make sure that I have my eyes on her at all times.
Okay.
Because
when you're coming down the stairs, like, yeah, he could be behind her, but like he's also above her.
So
like that
down.
Does make a little
bit more sense.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, like, and if you guys could see, and I actually have the layout so basically the FBI had done like a reenactment, like digital thing of this, so you could see, because I know I described to you the layout of the home from the way that the tactical officers were entering, but it will make a lot more sense. So let me pull this up for you so that way you can like have a visual with it. If it's not able to be on our Instagram, you guys can Google the Heidi Firkus house layout, and it's been posted by 48 Hours and Dateline. Morgan, I'm going to send you the actual crime scene photo. You can't see anything in it, but just so you can have an idea, and also send you the reenactment data, like cartoon one that they did. These are like the first two pictures that pop up on Google, if anybody's wondering.
Okay.
So you see they come down the stairs. That door is the front door. And you can see like in the real picture, like you come down, there's that entryway table to the left of the door. You could see, if you zoom in, the shoes and the shotgun. That's what the officer saw when they walked in that day. In order for her to get down, it's a tight little turnaround. So,
well, and also it's like completely open, that like, yeah, he's behind her, but the gun could be pointed towards the door.
Exactly. Like it's completely open the entire entire way. And I see what he's thinking of, like being able to keep his right arm on her maybe, and then like push her behind him, and she goes in first to the kitchen, he backs into it, pointing the gun at the door just in case anything happens. So that's what he explains to be his thought, his rationale at this point in time. So that's exactly what they did. Now, they go down the stairs, they make their way to the bottom, and as they are passing by the front door, Heidi is able to go past, but as she is walking past it, the door busts open. And you hear all this on the 911 call. That was that loud sound, right? Mm-hmm. Within seconds, Heidi is running into the kitchen, still on the phone with 911. Nick and the intruder are fighting over this loaded shotgun, holding it at chest height while in the waltz of their lives in the foyer. And the gun is fired. Once and then twice. This happens in a matter of seconds. Heidi falls to the floor in the doorway of the kitchen. Nick falls to the ground in the foyer with his ears ringing and leg bleeding, and the intruder just flees the scene. Nick said that he immediately took off his jeans to see where he had been shot when he realized that Heidi was on the ground and not moving. He was on the phone with 911 at this point because he had pulled it out of his pant pocket and dialed 911 frantically in excruciating pain, calling out to Heidi with no response as the phone rang, dragging himself over to her as fast as he could from the base of the stairs to the kitchen. Whenever he finally gets over there, he's on the phone with 911, and you hear the reaction of him realizing that she is not breathing. And we know the rest of the story from there because it was what we started with. Nick was very obviously still in shock while he was recounting these traumatic events that had taken place just hours before. Mind you, this is hours before. And to help kind of shake him out of reliving it all again, Detective Jim Gray asked for a description of the intruder. And Nick says that he was a black male who was around 6'1" or 6'2", wearing a black hooded sweatshirt. But he said like everything was happening so fast. This happened in a matter of seconds that the only thing he could remember detail about this guy was the man's eyes. He just had these large eyes, but that was really it. There had been really recently no other cases of breaking and entering in this area at all. No even petty crimes that had been recently committed. So it kind of sounded like someone had targeted Nick and Heidi. Mm-hmm. Normally you would have like a string that happened before. But why would they target Nick and Heidi? They had just moved into this house. They, quiet, nothing going on. Well, that's what Detective Jim Gray wanted to get to the bottom of. So he had to ask Nick some really hard questions that we see as very common when police are having to question, the partner of a victim in a case like this. He started off with how's your and Heidi's marriage? Have you cheated? Is there any reason for you to believe that Heidi has ever cheated on you? And Nick says absolutely not. He and Heidi had faced the same classical marital struggles that anyone has in their 4.5 years of marriage, but they were very much in love. They trusted each other fully. God was at the center of their relationship, and they were truly best friends. And that's what everyone around them said too. And then Detective Jim Gray asked if they were having any financial struggles recently, to which Nick says, yes, we have been, explaining that their home had been foreclosed on and they were actually going to be forced to move out the very next day, Monday, April 26, 2010 at noon, when the sheriff's department was scheduled to come and forcibly remove them.
Oh my God.
And then he also adds, and we have over $15,000 of credit card debt. But they were so embarrassed, him and Heidi, that they didn't tell anyone. They were the only two that knew. Detective Jim Gray was kind of jaw-dropped at this because it was the last thing he had expected. Now, don't get me wrong. It was extremely common. You have to remember what era this is. This is April of 2010.
Right.
Google it. If you can't remember it, Google it, okay? This was a crazy place and time.
Foreclosures left and right.
And it was almost fashionable. It was there was a term like fashionable foreclosure because there were so many changes within just everything after the in the wake of the reception, wedding. You know how it goes. I actually called my dad because I was like, remind me, let's walk through this. And me and him had a 2-hour conversation about this when I was scripting out my notes last night. And he was talking to me about what was going on here and why this was so very common at this point in time and why, you know, there was such a drastic response to it. I'll get to that. But okay, so Detective Jim Gray, he's jaw dropped. This is the last thing he expected. Don't get us wrong. It was very common at the point in time. But not only had this couple had lived in this house for barely 10 months, which means that's only 10 payments, but actually probably at the least 8, because you can sometimes miss 2 payments whenever you have your mortgage, sometimes only 1. And they had also refied in January, which means that you get to skip another month. Now, the way that they refied, that's a whole other thing. My dad had to explain it to me for like 2 hours. It has to do with like so much shit in this program that the government was doing at the time to help relieve some of the foreclosure and debt that was happening due to everything, the financial crisis that was going on. But the flip side of that is if you went through that government program and you missed 1 fucking payment after that, the sheriff's department's at your house taking it. So this is very, very common at the time. So not only all of this, had they lived in the house for only 10 months, was this extremely common, but Detective Jim Gray, the reason he's so shocked is because he had literally been in the house like an hour before this.
Nothing's packed.
There was not a single thing packed.
I was thinking that too after looking at those pictures.
Yes, there was not a single thing packed. There was not even a box.
Yeah.
In the floor. I mean, there's a few boxes like throughout, but typical for someone who's only lived in a house for 10 months. You know, it takes a long time to move into a house. And he was like, there was no boxes that were even preparing to be packed. The fridge and the pantry were completely stocked as if there was going to be a party there. And he asked Nick about this. Like, what do you mean you guys your pantry's fully stocked? And basically Nick explains that with them being so embarrassed about this and wanting to keep this between themselves, knowing that people normally stop by their house after church on Sunday, they wanted it to look as normal as possible. He had already called out of work on Monday and they were going to basically stay up all night and pack.
Wow.
So that way no one would catch them doing it, essentially, which is really sad. But this wasn't sitting right with Detective Gray. His mind flooded with the facts of the case that he had known so far in just the few hours that this had been unfolding. The neighbor that heard the shots but looked out their window immediately and did not see a single person fleeing from the home. And they know that the only door that this suspect could have left out of, according to Nick, the surviving witness, was the front door. Also, the canine could not pick up on a single scent. This was the best canine they had in the city. St. Paul, mind you, is the capital of Minnesota. This dog could not pick up on a single scent.
It's giving financial problems that she didn't know about.
And another thing, you know how I was like, you know, this kind of happens sometimes that they can't pick up a scent. Guys, it was a beautiful day outside. There was no rain. It was a beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky, no wind, no snow, nothing. And this is where the interview with Nick very quickly turned into an interrogation of Nick. And that is where we're going to pick up next week in part 2. I am so sorry.
Love you though.
Love you so much. P6, here's to you.
I have so many speculations.
I know. But don't get too caught up with your speculations because they might not be as you thought.
Oh, really? A big twist.
Big twist. Big twist.
Big twist coming to you, episode 262.
263.
It's because I have my notes 261.
I saw him as 261. I wasn't going to say anything.
It's because I fucked that creepy account up from the beginning.
Okay, Bessies. We love you so much. Thanks so much for, going into another season with us. Wishing our baby, our love child, Creeps and Crimes, a happy, happy birthday.
I hope you guys love that the neon sign's back.
I know. I'd love it.
We did. Did we even see that if it needed turned down?
I did. It looks fine. It probably does need to be turned down, but it's okay. Love you so much. Talk to you next Tuesday on a regular schedule.
XOXO. Love you. Bye.